From the translator's preface to the original edition. I sincerely thank my friend and benefactor, Dr. C.T. Shen, both for his sponsorship of the work and for his most helpful collaboration in the work of comparing the Tibetan and Chinese versions. We were sometimes joined in our roundtable discussions by Drs. C.S. George, Thao Tian Yi, F.S.K. Ku, and T.C. Zhao, whose helpful suggestions I gratefully acknowledge. My thanks also go to Ms. Yeshi Tsomo and Ms. Lee Zahler for their invaluable editorial assistance, and to Ms. Carol Schwager and the staff of the Pennsylvania State University Press.
Translator's preference to the online electronic edition. I earnestly thank Zongzar Kinsi Rinpoche for his great efforts in creating the project 84,000, translating the words of the Buddha, to present in English the many great works of the Buddhist teachings freely to the world. I also thank John Canty of the 84,000 for his careful, creative, and very learned translating and editorial work of this electronic edition, without which this improved translation would not have materialized. I thank Mr. Patrick Alexander of the Penn State University Press, who was the one who informed me that the copyright to my original translation done for the Institute of Advanced Studies of World Religions had reverted to me upon the termination of that institute, to which I had previously conveyed my rights. I intend to publish in print form a further update of that original version at a future time. Since there have been a number of free-floating electronic forms of this text on the internet for some years now, I am happy that the Sutra in its current revision is now available in the 84,000 reading room. Among the other translations of that site, Sarva Mangalam,
Note to bilingual readers. Bilingual readers who compare the English and Chinese versions of this book will notice that the two versions of the Sutra, even allowing for language differences, are not completely identical in all passages. The Chinese version reproduces Kumarik Jiva 5th century translation into Chinese, while the English is a translation by Robert Thuman from the Tibetan preserved in the Kangua, translated from Sanskrit, original in the early 9th century of Chinoni Tusotrium. For details of different versions of the sutra that exist today, please refer to Professor Thuman's introduction in the full version of the text in the reading room.
So I looked up this phrase, Sarva Mangalam, and it means may all be auspicious or all blessings.
Thanks, Kim.
The Noble Mahayana Sutra, the teaching of Vimalakirti. Arya Vimalakirti Ir Dasana Amayana Sutra.
Okay, you deserve a trophy or something.
Purification of the Buddha Field. Chapter 1. Reverence to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, noble disciples, and Pratya Buddhas in the past, the future, in the present, and the future. Thus did I hear on a single occasion. The Lord Buddha was in residence in the garden of Amrapali, in the city of Vaisali, attended by a great gathering. Of bhikkhus, there were 8,000, all arhats. They were free from impurities and afflictions, and all had attained self-mastery. Their minds were entirely liberated by perfect knowledge. They were calm and dignified, like royal elephants. They had accomplished their work, done what they had to do, cast off their burdens, attained their goals, and totally destroyed the bonds of existence. Their true knowledge had made their minds entirely free. They had all attained the utmost perfection of every form of control over their minds.
Question, what is a quick definition of bhikkhus and arhats?
So, bhikkhus, my understanding is means monks,
Okay.
and arhats are beings that are completely realized, that have they're different from bodhisattvas because the bodhisattvas have taken a vow to not leave this existence until every being also leaves this existence. And the arhats have said, my practice, my goal is the utmost perfection of every form of control over my mind. So they've gotten there, but they're separate from bodhisattvas who have taken a different vow. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That really clarified things for me. And you made me realize something. The longer we go into the future, I guess there will be more bodhisattvas and we would encounter more realized people because of it.
Well, they're two different things. The bodhisattva and these perfect beings with quotes around it, kind of. This is the difference between Theravadan and Mahayana Buddhism, and this paragraph is the ideal for Theravadan Buddhism. Would you agree, Anne?
Yes, I would say that the sort of outcome of traditionally in some schools, the outcome of Theravadan practice is to become an arhat. And the outcome traditionally of Mahayana practice is to become a bodhisattva. But I think there's plenty of overlap.
I had a teacher once who said he'd rather have a scholar than a great student. And I read this paragraph as great students doing everything right.
And back to Starlet's question about whether or not we will encounter more over time. I don't know how anyone else looks at this, but time as we look at it is a construct. And so I don't know that we will or won't, because all time exists now. And that is just a long discussion, but if you see time as linear, then perhaps, but if you see time as constantly present and always circling back and there being no distinction, between past, present, and future. I think all the bodhisattvas and arhats that are now. My 2 cents.
So I get to read about the bodhisattvas.
Does that answer your question,
Oh,
Starlet?
yes, I am learning quite a lot right now. The thing is that I don't even know what questions to ask to further my knowledge.
I
This
was
is so new to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to explain it.
no problem.
Okay. I don't think I'm muted. Of bodhisattvas, there were 32,000 great spiritual heroes who were universally acclaimed. They were dedicated through the penetrating activity of their great super knowledges and were sustained by the grace of the Buddha. Guardians of the city of the Dharma, they held the true doctrine, and their great teachings resounded like the lion's roar throughout the 10 directions. Without having to be asked, they were the natural spiritual benefactors of all living beings. They maintain unbroken the succession of the 3 jewels, conquering devils and foes and overwhelming all critics. So the 3 jewels are the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma.
Thank you. I was about to ask about that.
Me too. Their mindfulness, intelligence, realization, meditation, incarnation, and eloquence all were perfected. They were free of all obscurations. They were free of all obscurations and emotional involvements, living in liberation without impediment. They were totally dedicated through the transcendences of generosity, subdued, unwavering, and sincere morality, tolerance, effort, meditation, wisdom, skill in liberative arts, commitment, power, and nos. They attained the intuitive tolerance of the ultimate incomprehensibility and unborn nature of all things. They turned the irresistible wheel of the Dharma. They were stamped with the insignia of singleness.
Of signlessness. Signlessness.
Signlessness. Yes, thank you. I see it now.
Kim, would
The
you look
insignia
up?
of silenceless.
Yeah, singleness. Kim, would you look up gnosis? Kind of stuck in there.
I did that.
Oh, good. What did you read it?
Knowledge of spiritual mysteries.
Okay. Gnosis.
And what does signlessness, the insignia of signlessness, what is that?
That is a great question. They were stamped with the insignia of signlessness. I think right now that it means no of like emptiness, of you couldn't like put a sign on them and say, this is this thing. This is one thing. This is the thing that this is. That's my interpretation of that sentence.
It says here in AI, in essence, gnosis is not intellectual learning, but awakened knowing. Awakened knowing.
So does anybody else have a thought about what is the insignia of signlessness signify?
So I guess there's a Dharma talk that talks about the second door of liberation is the door of signlessness. Sign means appearance or form.
Formlessness.
So they are stamped with the insignia of formlessness.
Here it says the absence of inherent distinguishing marks or signs in phenomena that we ordinarily use to identify, grasp, and conceptualize them. The absence of the marks. So you just know things. You don't have any literal kind of clues.
Well, they were stamped with the insignia of signlessness. So I take it to mean that the bodhisattvas were not able to be pinned down. We're not just a single thing, but we're empty.
But in signlessness, we realize the flower is not just a flower, it is a momentary expression of independent causes, rain, sun, earth, and time, with no fixed identity.
So does that relate to no eyes, no ears, no nose, impermanence? Is that what that is relating to, or is that different?
I'm open to hearing other people's thoughts about that. Instead of AIs, what are you actually thinking?
Oh,
This is really funny. There's a paper called The Semiotics of Signlessness.
Wow. Wow.
So this is not an easy answer. This is something very written about.
Well,
And
I
sign.
find it.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emily. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, from my like very quick looking over, a lot of people think of a sign as something to be interpreted and something that immediately brings the question of like further questions. So it's not a certainty. It leads to uncertainty and interpretation.
And I find it fascinating that they were stamped with the insignia of not being anything. I mean that there isn't. There's like signlessness seems to be like you've gotten to a universal thing. So how do you get stamped with an insignia? And what would the insignia of signlessness look like?
That's
Would
very
be an
astute,
infinity symbol?
Melissa. Very astute of you. There's an irony in that.
definitely.
I think so.
What's coming up for me is like the power of presence. That it's not about a book learning, it's not about something else, it's about showing up and intuitively, forming connection.
I like that. Thank you.
But
So
there
to
is
go,
like a Hogwarts thing, like which Hogwarts house is that?
so to go back to your question, Nelda, about is this the same as no eyes, no ears, no nose? So this signlessness is signlessness, no eyes, no ears, no nose. No sight, no sound, no smell. I don't know. I don't know if those two things, I mean, I think they're related,
They're different.
but I don't think they're exactly describing the same things.
After listening to Emily, yes, I think they're related but different. Yes,
But
thank you.
but it's going beyond phenomena,
Right.
and the eyes and ears and nose are all phenomena. So
Okay, and here I'm going to say something. Can he? I have learned so much from you, so I hope I don't shame you for what I'm going to say. Because I'm completely out of my um w- w- when you have talked to me about, let's see if I can put this into words, that the universe and us are one and the same. Can that be related to signlessness from the point of view that in order to stop perceiving yourself as a vessel that is unique to your own person and be able to transcend to be part of the universe, you have to let go of everything that you are. So could that be related
Well,
to
we
it?
talk a lot about doing both, but
Yeah.
but the letting go of the phenomena of the particular of the certainly is part of it, I think.
Okay, so I didn't shame you. Nice. So then when we are talking about that, the Bodhisattva level takes it all the way to that. No more phenomena.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Can you rephrase it?
No, I was saying, well, the question is that what signlessness could be related to? That the Bodhisattva level of being one and the same with the universe and everything that exists, to the point that you don't exist anymore, but you do.
I think so, because all phenomena are to be understood as conceptual constructions. So to rid ourselves of conceptual construction is to push past phenomena and I think be in the arena of signlessness.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I feel moved to say that one is not more real than the other. That there are concepts and constructions, and we all have eyes and ears and nose. Well, many of us have eyes and ears and noses. But there's more. There's something else.
I think it's really significant that in these two paragraphs, these people, the arhats and the bodhisattvas, are both being set up as being so great and so perfect. And we're going to see Vimalakirti, as we've read in the last months, Vimalakirti will point out to them that they don't have the whole picture. That's how I'm reading this.
Jumping ahead.
I like him.
So we'll see. Who's next?
I think it's Nelda, but she's muted.
I'm here. All right. They were expert in knowing the spiritual faculties of all living beings. They were brave with the confidence that awes all assemblies. They had gathered the great stories of merit and wisdom, and their bodies, beautiful without ornaments, were adorned with all the auspicious signs and marks. They were exalted in fame and glory, like the lofty summit of Mount Sumeru. Their high resolve is hard as diamond, unbreakable in their faith in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. They showered forth the rain of ambrosia that is released by the light rays of the jewel of the Dharma, which shines everywhere.
Their voices were perfect in diction and resonance, and versatile in speaking all languages. They had penetrated the profound principle of relativity and had destroyed the persistence of the instinctual mental habits underlying all convictions concerning finitude and finitude and infinitude. They spoke fearlessly, like lions, sounding the thunder of the magnificent teaching. Unequal, they surpassed all measure. They were the best captains for the voyage of discovery of the treasures of the Dharma, the stores of merit and wisdom. I just want to point out that I love the fact that it says they had penetrated the profound principles of relativity, because now in the era that we live with the theory of relativity, I love that.
Yeah. They were expert in the way of the Dharma, which is straight, peaceful, subtle, gentle, hard to see, and difficult to realize. They were endowed with a wisdom that is able to understand the thoughts of living beings, as well as their comings and goings. They had been consecrated with the anointment of the peerless gnosis of the Buddha. With their high resolve, they approached the 10 powers, the 4 fearlessnesses, and the 18 special qualities of the Buddha.
They had crossed the terrifying abyss of the bad migrations, and yet they assumed reincarnation voluntarily in all the migrations for the sake of disciplining living beings. Great kings of medicine, understanding all of the sicknesses and of passions, they could apply the medicine of the Dharma appropriately.
Donna, is it your turn?
She said she couldn't read on the chat.
Um, okay, so she did. She says, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. They were inexhaustible, minds of limitless virtues, and they glorified innumerable Buddha fields with the splendor of these virtues. They conferred great benefit when seen, heard, or even approached. Were one to extol them for innumerable hundreds of thousands of myriads of eons, one could still not exhaust their mighty flood of virtues.
The next paragraph.
Wow, what do you guys think about this is going to be really hard to read out loud.
I say go to the very end that says, and so forth with the remainder of the 32,000.
Right. I don't know why we get these names and not the whole 32,000. This reminds me so much of the Bible.
Yeah.
You're giving the bodhisattvas were named SSS DDD
Oh, that-
DD and so forth with the remainder of the 32,000.
Right.
They were also gathered there There were also gathered there 10,000 Brahmas. At their head, Brahma Sikhin, who had come from the Asoka universe with its 4 sectors to see, venerate, and serve the Buddha, and to hear the Dharma from his own mouth. There were 12,000 Sakras from the various 4 sector universes, and there were other powerful gods, Brahmas, Sakras, Lakapalas, Devas, Nagas, Yaksas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinneras, and Mahorajas, I don't know, Agas. Finally, there was the 4-fold community consisted of bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, laymen, and laywomen. So the bhikkhunis are the women, and the bhikkhus are the men, monks.
Yeah, or anybody, what is the Soka universe?
I don't know. I just take it to mean another amazing place. But I'm sure we could look it up.
Sounds like living beings from all of creation, from where we sit to the end of it, were there in their various roles.
From this universe, other universes, everywhere.
Everywhere.
So it sounds like,
Yeah.
to me anyway.
Um, so I Googled it and it says like Ahsoka's universe or Ashoka. Is it Ashoka or Ahsoka?
Well, in this translation, it's Ahsoka.
Well, it says that it is based on the early life of Emperor Ashoka of the Maurya Empire, who ruled most of the Indian subcontinent in the 3rd century BC. And basically says that it likely refers to the reign and legacy of that emperor. And he's renowned for his conversion to Buddhism and his subsequent efforts to promote peace, tolerance, and social welfare throughout his vast empire.
Thank you. The Buddha, thus surrounded and venerated by these multitudes of many hundreds of thousands of living beings, sat upon a majestic lion throne and began to teach the Dharma, dominating all the multitudes, just as Samaru, the king of mountains, looms high over the oceans. The Lord Buddha shone, radiated, and glittered as he sat upon his magnificent lion throne.
Thereupon the Likshava Bodhisattva Ratnakara, with 500 Likshava youth, each holding a precious parasol made of several different kinds of jewels, came forth from the city of Vaisali and presented himself on the grove of Amrapali. Each approached the Buddha, bowed at his feet, circumambulated him clockwise 7 times, laid down his precious parasol in offering, and withdrew to one side.
Start. Yeah.
Right. As soon as all these precious parasols had been lain down, suddenly, by the miraculous power of the Lord, they were transformed into a single precious canopy so great that it formed a covering for this entire billion world galaxy. The surface of the entire billion world galaxy was reflected in the interior of the great precious canopy, where the total content of this galaxy could be seen. Limitless mansions of suns, moons, and stellar bodies, the realms of the devas, nagas, yaksas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kimnaras, and Mahoragas, as well as the realms of the four Maharajas, the king of mountains, Mount Sumeru, Mount Himava, Mount Musilinda, Mount Mahamusilinda, Mount Gandmadana, Mount Ratna Parvata, Mount Kalaparvata, Mount Karavada, Mount Mahakravada, all the great oceans, rivers, bays, torrents, streams, brooks, and springs. Finally, all the villages, suburbs, cities, capitals, provinces, and wilderness. All this could be clearly seen by everyone, and the voices of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions could be heard proclaiming their teachings of the Dharma in all the worlds, the sounds reverberating in the space beneath the great precious canopy.
Hooray.
This is very poetic.
I
This is
loved it.
very like mythic, like
Exactly.
in
It's
scope.
phantasmagorical.
Right? I mean, how beautiful is to have a canopy such that it lets you see that you're part of the universe and the galaxy and everything.
It reminds me of Sinbad, the tales of Sinbad.
I love
It's
I
so different than the Pali Canon. Okay, at this vision of the magnificent miracle, affected by the supernatural power of the Lord Buddha, the entire host was ecstatic, enraptured, astonished, delighted, satisfied, and filled with awe and pleasure. They all bowed down to the Tathagata, withdrew to one side with palms pressed together, and gazed upon him with fixed attention. The young Lichavi Ratnakara knelt with his right knee on the ground, raised his hands, palms pressed together, in salute of the Buddha, and praised him with the following hymn. Pure are your eyes, broad and beautiful, like the petals of a blue lotus. Pure is your thought, having discovered the supreme transcendence of all trances. Immeasurable is the ocean of your virtues, the accumulation of your good deeds. You affirm the path of peace. O great ascetic, obeisance to you. Oh my goodness. Cassie, you're up.
Leader, bull of men, we behold the revelation of your miracle. The superb and radiant fields of the Sagatas appear before us, and your extensive spiritual teachings that lead to immortality make themselves heard throughout the whole reach of space. Dharma King, you rule with the Dharma, your supreme Dharma kingdom, and thereby bestow the treasures of the Dharma upon all living beings. Expert in the deep analysis of things, you teach their ultimate meaning, sovereign Lord of Dharma, obedient to you.
All of these things arise dependently from causes, yet they are neither existent nor non-existent. Therein is neither ego nor experiencer, nor doer. Yet no action, good or evil, loses its effects. Such is your teaching. O Sakyamuni, conquering the powerful host of Mara, you found peace, immortality, and the happiness of that supreme enlightenment, which is not realized by any among the outsiders, though they arrest their feeling, thought, and mental processes.
O wonderful King of Dharma, you turned the wheel of Dharma before men and gods. With its threefold revolution, its manifold aspects, its extreme peace, and its purity of nature, and thereby the three jewels were revealed.
Those who are well disciplined by your precious Dharma are free of vain imaginings and always deeply peaceful. Supreme Doctor, you put an end to birth, decay, sickness, and death. Immeasurable ocean of virtue, we bow to you. Like Mount Sumeru, you are unmoved by honor or scorn. You love mortal beings and immortal beings equally. Poised in equanimity, your mind is like the sky. Who would not honor such a precious jewel of a being?
Great sage, and all these multitudes gathered here, who look upon your countenance with heart sincere in faith, each being beholds the victor, as if just before him. This is a special quality of the Buddha. Although the Lord speaks with but one voice, those present perceive the same voice differently, and each understands in his own language according to his own needs. This is a special quality of the Buddha.
From the leader's act of speaking in a single voice, some merely develop an instinct for the teaching. Some gain realization. Some find pacification of all their doubts. This is a special quality of the Buddha. We bow to you who command the force of leadership and the 10 powers. We bow to you who are dauntless, knowing no fear. We bow to you, leader of all living beings who fully manifests the special qualities.
We bow to you who have cut the bondage of all fetters. We bow to you who, having gone beyond, stand on firm ground. We bow to you who save the suffering beings. We bow to you who do not remain in the migrations. You associate with living beings by frequenting their migrations, yet your mind is liberated from all migrations. Just as the lotus born of mud is not tainted thereby, so the lotus of the Buddha preserves the realization of voidness.
A question, what does it mean migrations here?
I think it means rebirth.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
You nullify all signs in all things everywhere. You are not subject to any wish for anything at all. The miraculous power of the Buddhas is inconceivable. We bow to you who stand nowhere like infinite space.
Then the young Likavi Ratnakara, having celebrated the Buddha with these verses, further addressed him. Lord, these 500 young Likavis are truly on their way to unexcelled, perfect enlightenment, and they have asked, what is the Bodhisattva's purification of the Buddha field? Please, Lord, explain to them the Bodhisattva's purification of the Buddha field.
Upon this request, the Buddha gave his approval to the young Lakshaka Radnakara. Good young man. Your question to the Tathagata about the purification of the Buddha field is indeed good. Therefore, young man, listen well and remember, I will explain to you the purification of the Buddha field of the Bodhisattvas.
Excuse me, what is a Buddha field?
That I have no idea. Buddha field. I don't know what that would be. If I had to guess, I'd say everything.
A Buddha field is a realm or sphere of influence created by a Buddha's enlightened activity, where beings can practice the Dharma and progress toward awakening. So it's like a big zendo. In Mahayana and Vajrayana texts, Buddha fields can be symbolic or literal, internal or external. A practitioner's mind purified by realization is itself a kind of Buddha field. Infinite Buddha fields may penetrate one another, a reflection of the non-dual interconnected cosmos.
Wow, thank you.
So this may be a redundant question then why does the Buddha field need to be purified? Wouldn't it just be?
There's a discussion that says pure means free from true sufferings and their causes, delusions, and deluded actions.
Go, Emily.
I mean, I don't know if that's the answer, but that's what somebody argues online. So
It fits. I mean, it fits instead of it being some kind of dualistic game.
That was a good question.
I agree.
Whose turn is it? I can't remember.
I read.
Okay. So
You read? So then me?
is
Okay. All right. And are we at very good?
Upon this request, I think.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. I got it. Upon this request, the Buddha gave his approval.
Oh, wait, maybe
the Buddha said, noble sons, a Buddha field of a bodhisattvas. That's where we are.
Okay.
Good. Okay, thank you. The Buddha said, noble sons, a Buddha field of bodhisattvas is a field of living beings. Why so? A bodhisattva embraces a Buddha field to the same extent he causes the development of living beings. He embraces a Buddha field to the same extent that living beings become disciplined. He embraces a Buddha field to the same extent that, through entrance into a Buddha field, living beings are introduced to the Buddha Nas. He embraces a Buddha field to the same extent that through entrance into the Buddha field, living beings increase their noble spiritual faculties. Why so? Noble son, a Buddha field of bodhisattvas springs from the aims of the living beings, of living beings.
For example, Ratnakara, should one wish to build in an empty space, one might go ahead in spite of the fact that it is not possible to build or to adorn anything in empty space. In just the same way, should a bodhisattva who knows full well that all things are like empty space wish to build a Buddha field in order to develop living beings, he might go ahead in spite of the fact that it is not possible to build or to adorn a Buddha field in empty space. Yet, Ratnahara, a bodhisattva's Buddha field is a field of positive thought. When he attains enlightenment, living beings free of hypocrisy and deceit will be born in his Buddha field.
Noble son, a bodhisattva's Buddha field is a field of high resolve. When he attains enlightenment, living beings who had harvested the two stores and have planted the roots of virtue will be born in his Buddha field. A bodhisattva's Buddha field is a field of virtuous application. When he attains enlightenment, living beings who live by all virtuous principles will be born in his Buddha field.
A bodhisattva's Buddha field is the magnificence of the conception of the spirit of enlightenment. When he attains enlightenment, living beings who are actually participating in the Mahayana will be born in his Buddha field. A bodhisattva's Buddha field is a field of generosity. When he attains enlightenment, living beings who give away all their possessions will be born in his Buddha field. A bodhisattva's Buddha field is a field of morality. When he attains enlightenment, living beings who follow the path of the 10 virtues with positive thoughts will be born in his Buddha field.
I'm taking all this to be born is to be reborn in their next life. What do you think, Anne?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like they arise in this place because of the characteristics of the bodhisattva. It doesn't, I mean, maybe they're kind of recycled beings.
But you see, they're following a path. They're doing these things before they're born.
I'm not seeing it that way.
Living beings who follow the path will be born.
See, I don't see it that way either, Kim, because the word born could also mean come into existence, arise.
So it's not birth at age 0.
Right.
I see. Like more like reborn.
Right.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
So I think it's describing what they're going to be like. It's not describing what they've already done. It's describing living beings who follow the path will be born. So the living beings that show up there are going to do this thing, but they're not going to do it until the bodhisattva attains enlightenment.
Could it be like the influence of the bodhisattva's Buddha field can influence the people living there to become better or their better selves? Like for example, we're experiencing, and I'm not saying it's the same, it's just an example, but we're kind of experiencing the opposite right now. That we have seen that there are a lot of people, um, what I'm trying to say is that we have seen through history when there's somebody in power that is a good person, it kind of, they surround themselves with good people and vice versa. And it shows in the people in the nation in that time. So maybe it could be something like that.
I'm wondering, it seems as though there are, maybe I don't know anything, so I could be totally wrong. There are groups of bodhisattvas that have what they are working on to attain enlightenment. So this one here was field of generosity. So what he's working on his attaining enlightenment through the works of generosity that he is learning about doing whatever. He has a certain amount of people who are following that. They too want to find enlightenment through generosity. But they can't come completely into enlightenment until the Bodhisattva attains the enlightenment of generosity. And then the living beings who gave away all their possessions will be born into his Buddha field. So then they will go to their next step of enlightenment. Does that make any sense at all?
So here's where I get confused. We are already Buddhas. We are already enlightened. That's what's, I think, is the belief in our practice. It's just covered up by all this stuff. Whatever, all this stuff. And if we are already enlightened, so that's, and I'm reading these words with that perspective, with that foundational perspective of Mahayana practice says we're already enlightened beings. Given that, the way I'm reading this, and it can be mistaken, is that sometimes you may be something, but you need someone to model that for you. And that is what a bodhisattva does for us. That a bodhisattva, like our teachers, like our fellow Sangha members, and facilitators and those around us, model what all of those virtues are, so that we can let our light shine through, so to speak, of enlightenment. Input? Anyone?
Well, this is from the 1st or 2nd century, and Dogen, which is the idea that we're Buddhas, is 1200. So it's much later. So anyway, this is much older. This is the beginning of Mahayana, I think. Well, but that's controversial. Some say it's right from the beginning, so.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's a story. It's like Emily was saying, it's a myth. And I guess the original, or the man we were reading previously who wrote the commentary about it was saying, well, some people see it as a myth, and maybe you could see it as actual truth. And but it's a fantastical story. So I don't think we can map onto it exactly what other teachings are saying.
And this is the 6 perfections: generosity, morality, tolerance, effort, meditation, and wisdom. Here.
What were the ones before this? What were the previous characteristics of above generosity, what was in the Buddha fields above generosity? Magnificence, concept, the Buddha's virtuous application, high resolve, positive thought. So lots of different good things. So I think it's, I'm sorry, Starlet had a question.
Oh, no, I was just thinking that if I look at the present time that we're living through, I feel that we're experiencing the opposite, that there's somebody in power that is bringing out the worst in people or in a lot of people, not everybody. But when you have somebody that is in power that is a better person, it brings out the better in us. So I just feel that this is related to that.
Well,
Um,
I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
So what I am also thinking is that this isn't just this what's being said is directed, I believe, at the bodhisattvas to remind them of where where their influence is. If you want to use the word influence, it's probably not a good Buddhist word, um, but I think it's saying, okay, as a bodhisattva, this is what you're trying to attain. This is what you're working on for. You are going to do this, but there's another reason for you to be doing this and to be careful about how you're doing it, because you are going to bring with you people who are following you. And so you want to make sure that you're living how you're supposed to. If you're doing, if you're going through the Buddha field of morality, then you need to make sure that you are doing that you are really doing that, because when you get to enlightenment, you've got these people who've been following you, and they are going to attain the next step too. So you need to make sure that they don't necessarily attain enlightenment. I don't believe. I think they move up the scale, as it were. So you have to make sure that what you're saying to them, what you're modeling for them, what your beliefs are, and what you are transmitting is the right thing. And you can't just be doing it for yourself, because as bodhisattvas, that's not what you've agreed to do.
I also want to point out that earlier we read that evil things stay evil, good things stay good. And I wonder if that is the need for the purification, to make sure that in that sphere of influence of the bodhisattvas, that everything that happens in there, in that Buddha field, would be towards the good.
So it's 12 minutes after 8. So I hate to cut off the discussion, but maybe we can write about what we think about those things. And we can come back in 15 minutes and have a very short share.
I have a picture to share.
Oh, good.
This is intersecting Buddha fields.
I love it.
And
Perfect.
I did it on top of a page, which was the back of something that was sent to me. This page intentionally left blank, which seemed to fit. So they exist and they don't exist.
Very signless.
I love that. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I love
I
how
love
you
it.
kept the original phrase there, just as so good.
This page intentionally left blank. I love it.
It was fun to make Buddha fields.
Yes.
That's all we need to do, I think.
100%.
I would
May-
love to live in a Buddha field.
Oh, you do, but
Maybe
you
you do. Yes. Oh,
You
that's what
do.
Nelda just said.
You do. May I follow? Because
Yes.
I'm gonna that was a great segue. And I just scrawled, so I don't know this, I just flowed with it, and I'm not a good writer, but here we go. I love this description of our Buddha fields, of each of us as the cultivator and cultivated, each as teacher and facilitator. The vision of Buddha field being internal, both internal and external, both specific to one and expansive and interconnected to all. How this reading is, as our practice is, a constant, gentle, poetic reminder of the interwovenness of all things and all activity, be it internal or external, in parentheses, gentle reminder, those are constructs, how the teachings, albeit limited by words, weave into our bodies and minds and emotions and soften our limited ideas and constructs like a basket weaver softening grapevine to interconnect lives one with the other and co-create a life of less suffering for each other. That's what I have.
Oh, boy.
I'll go. I also was still attached to that signlessness. So the bodhisattvas, they were free. They are free of all the invitations of self-centered behaviors, not caught in the self-centered dream. Intuitive presence that is not teaching or teaching only by the example of being. That is what actually turns the Dharma wheel. They were stamped with the insignia of signlessness. They wore a robe. They sewed a robe. The robe is a sign of not attaching to reactionary attitudes. Pure equals free, not caught in the dream. To tell it like it is without personal references of psychological conditioning. Then they named so many places and so many people to make it real, a lofty ideal and a grounded reality. Quotes, pure is your thought, having discovered the supreme transcendence of trances. End quote. Free are you. You let go of the ancient twisted tangle karma that bound you.
Any other offerings?
I can
I
go.
can share. Oh, go ahead,
Go,
Christina.
Melissa. Go
I mean,
ahead.
Starla.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of what we're reading about as a way for Buddha to strengthen the teachings and to remind teachers to be mindful of whom they are teaching and what will happen when their students move on. As the teachers move on, they seem to be bringing their students along with them. I'm also wondering if Vimalakirti is going to come along and turn everything on its head. And if the Buddha is setting up these teachings to lull everyone into a way of the Buddha, which is going to turn out to be something, which is going to turn out to be something extremely different and require more thought. And will Vimalakirti cause a questioning of the idea that the Bodhisattvas have really attained a true enlightenment, or is there a piece missing?
Stay tuned.
Very true. So this is what I have. To me, I stayed with the canopy. Can I be under the canopy, be able to perceive and see I am in a galaxy in space as I sit in the middle of a meadow? Can I see my body dissolve into stars, planets, flowers, and the dust particles of butterfly wings? Can I be under the canopy, experiencing everything happening at the same time? Being me and all, nothing and everything under the canopy?
Mm. Very lovely. Everybody's, yeah. It's great. Well, we're at the end of our time. So good night, sweet dreams. And we'll see you next Monday.
Be well. Thank you.
Bye.
Be well, everyone.
Have a great week.
Kim, do we need to talk?
I have to unmute.
Okay.
What I'd love to do is to take what you wrote and combine it with my picture and use it for just this. If do,
Oh,
could you send it to me?
it's all scrawly. Let me type it out. It's just
Yeah, you might want to change it a little. I don't know, but
yeah.
that
You
would
can
be
fix
fun. And
it.
I
That was
will.
just a flow. That's just I loved it. That it felt like a dance. It
Yeah,
just felt like all this dancing. It was beautiful.
and we
And your
do
picture.
we do live under this in the Buddha fields.
Yes.
We just have to recognize it. Okay, so no, I like your idea of checking in with people about this week. I'm just curious about how we might connect that with spiritual bypassing.
Oh, but it connects perfectly.
So tell me more.
So as I got calls and texts from people asking me how I was and what's going on in Texas and if I'm affected, I realized that fortunately in a really personal level in terms of having lost someone in my family or among friends, I'm not connected to it in that way, but I am in other ways. This is my state. These are areas surrounding me. I know the neighborhoods, some of the neighborhoods and some of the areas in San Antonio, especially now with Ben, that have been affected. And it led me to wonder, first of all, who in our group has been affected. And then in terms of how they are holding it, because how we hold it may be a form of beautiful practice. And if it's a form of beautiful practice, it's all practice, right? But if it's a form of healthy healing practice, what a wonderful example to bring to a class on spiritual bypass. And what a beautiful opportunity to hold that person in metta and with our presence.
Okay, so that's terrific. Thank
Okay.
you.
Does it
Okay.
make sense now?
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought doing it at the beginning would be a better opportunity for each of us individually. I mean, we don't have to then go into the readings, and after we've expressed where we are and what impact that's made. See if any of the ways we individually, through our readings, have engaged in spiritual bypass.
Perfect.
Okay.
I want to show you something.
Okay.
So the this is the lid for the by the street,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't fit, and so this is the third attempt, but I cut out all this
You're amazing, Kim.
so that it will fit in, and I'm going to put some. It's not used anymore. What's underneath? It just has some pipes connected because our turnoff is in the. They moved it to the other side, but I'm going to put some dots of silicone in and then put it down. So I have something
This
else
is
covering it now.
dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah. So it
Thank you.
well, the circle, the thing it fits into is all messed up. It's overlapping and it's awkward. And what's funny is I have a hydraulic jack, and I was going to like force it open, and I put a piece of wood in, and I had this whole plan. The hydraulic jack, it's like over 50 years old, this jack I have, but it will not work horizontally. It only works vertically, and it was.
So I think that was just
So this was my
that
other
was good
solution.
fortune that it doesn't work. I can't tell you. I know I've fallen in that hole at night. It's been a while, several times.
Yeah.
You can break a leg doing that, and so I can't.
Anyway, so
But
I'll
that
put it
thing
in
doesn't
tomorrow.
function, right? There's no purpose for so to speak, the guts, the machinery that's in there, right?
Right, but I don't think we should just like fill it with dirt because
no.
it's a connection, and a connection should stay thing. So anyway, I'll put it in tomorrow.
Oh, you're so kind.
And I think we kind of got the water taken care of.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Kim.
I'll empty the well again, but only a little bit of water filled into the well this time. So I got the fan working again. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah.
I sent you a little message.
That fan was some old furnace guy had gotten it off of an old furnace that he took out of someone's house. So it must be maybe 50 years old, that fan. And it's amazing that it's been running now, for 3 or 4 years continually.
And at a later time, because at a later time we can talk about perhaps there is a fan that is if this one goes ever in the next year, 2 years, however long it takes, that you can purchase and then put. I'm sure we're not the only ones with this issue. I'm sure someone's created some sort of device for pumping water out of your.
Wait, this is the fan, not the pump. Oh, but
right.
You're talking about a sump pump.
Some kind of, they're called sump pumps?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are they combination fan and pump?
No. But that would be what people would do. But the problem is, where does the water go to? That's what we've talked about before.
Right. I just,
it could go to Bennett.
There was part of me as I left. I've got a drainage place right in front of my house, so that the street never floods because it's all going right into that.
That's great.
So Kim, very quickly, you saw the list of the things that I wanted to talk with you and Susan about. And I just want to, I know why I feel this way. It's a childhood thing where if you didn't explain everything fully, then you were going to be misunderstood, your intentions and your motivations.
So let's go. I've talked to Susan a little about it.
Okay.
I think this morning, but let's go to lunch with her.
All right.
So next week, what days could you do? Or if you want to text me and tell me, and
No,
I'll let
I've got
her
it.
know.
01/28. Let me get on the calendar. I think I only have one medical appointment next week, so that's good. So let's see. So that's Monday. Tuesday or Tuesday or Thursday. And I could do Friday, but if we could have brunch so that I could head out of town early enough.
Let's do Tuesday or Thursday
Okay. Just let me know what works for both.
next week.
Okay.
We could even do Thursday this week.
Well,
Or is that
Thursday,
not good?
and it's not good.
Okay,
Thursday,
Tuesday or Thursday next week.
yes, great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Tuesday, Thursday next week. Okay, great.
All right. Okay, I will see you
Great.
again soon. Thank you. That's great.
It's funny.
No, seriously, the safety factor in what you did, it's like, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Just adding a little something to it, since that's plastic, one thing that might be helpful, and you're the one with the mechanical aptitude, is to take like pieces of 2x4 and put them in that hole to support that lid.
Oh, this is very strong.
Is it sturdy? Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, there's
Okay,
no
good.
problem there.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay,
All right,
bye.
good night. Bye.